Welcome back to Snippet Coder, and we are back with third video of our grocery WooCommerce app series. And this video we will create the user sign up form, and we will check the registration by going to the WooCommerce customer section. So before starting the video, if you are new to our channel, subscribe to the channel by clicking on the subscribe button and click the bell icon to get notified about our latest videos. Thank you. So first of all, we will create one config file. In that config file, we will define some of the variables. We will name it as a config.start file. The first variable will be static string key, and this is a key which we have created in our last video. Then we will have static string secret. Then we will have static string URL, and this is the base URL we are going to use for our API. Then we will have static string customer URL, and this is the path where we are going to hit the API. This is our URL, that groceryapp.snippetcoder.com. Then we have /wp json -json. Then we have wc. Then we have version 3, and here in the customer URL we are putting customers. Now we will create the model file. We will create one folder, that is model folder, and here we will define the class, and we will create customer.start file, and we will create class customer model. Inside that we have a variable of string email. Then we will have string first name. Then we will have string last name. Then we will have string password. Now here we will create the constructor. This dot email. Then we will have this dot first name, this dot last name, this dot password. Now we will create one method, that is toJSON, and we will have map string dynamic toJSON. And here we have map string dynamic map is equal to null object. Then we will add the values here, map dot add all, and here we will create a JSON email, and here we will pass this email. Then we will have first underscore name, first name. In this email, that first underscore name, these are the variable name which that WooCommerce is supporting, and we have to make sure that we are passing the correct name here. Then we will have last name. Then we will have password. And the last one is very important, that is username, and that WooCommerce customer registration is based on the username only, but here we are passing the username as an email only, so we are just pass the same that email variable here. Now here we will return map. So our model file is ready, and we have 4 variables here. First one is an email, then we have a first name, then we have a last name, then we have a password, and then we have a method of toJSON, and here we are passing the JSONs. First one is an email, first underscore name, then we have a last underscore name, then we have a password, then we have a username. In the username we are passing the email only. So now we will create a API service class and we will name it as a API underscore service dot file. So we are using a DIO, that package for that HTTP request and all. Class name will be API service, and here we will create one method of future type boolean, and we will name it as a create customer, and we will pass that customer model here is sync, and then here we will create one variable that is where auth token is equal to base64 dot encode, and here we have to import library. Then we will have here utf8 dot encode. Here we will pass config dot key, then here we will pass colon, and then we will have config dot secret. So this is the token we are sending on our create customer request, and token is based on that our key, and that's secret key which we have created in our last video of that API setup. So if you have not watched that video, you can watch that video so that you can understand how to set up the API and all at WooCommerce level. Then we will create one more private variable, that is boolean return is equal to false. So here we will use the try catch. We will have a variable of response is equal to await diu dot, and we are doing here post request, and the URL will be config.url. Then we will have that customer endpoint, that create customer endpoint we are using here, config.customer URL. Then the data we are passing here, model.toJSON, and the options we are passing some header here, new option, and the header we are passing here http header dot authorization header, and we are passing here basic color auth token. Then we are passing here http headers dot content type header, and here we are passing application JSON. Now the request is ready, so here we will check if response dot status code is equal to 201. When we have checked that status 201, that is user created, so we will pass here return is equal to true, and here we are doing that error handling on do error. Here we will check if e dot response dot status code is equal to 404, that is duplicate user ID or duplicate username. or you can say duplicate email ID. Then we will do return is equal to false. Else also we will do return is equal to false. In any other error also we are doing that return is equal to false. That means user is not created. Then here we will return. So what we are doing in this method is we have created one method that is create customer, and we are passing the parameter of model which we have created at customer model class. Then we are creating that auth token on the basis of the key and the secret key. Then we will have that variable of return. By default we are making as a false, and then we are doing the try catch here, and in the response we are posting that URL for the customer. Then we will have that data and model.toJSON, and then we are passing that option in the HTTP headers. And first one is that authorization header we are passing. Then we will have a content type header. Then we are checking if the status code is 201, that means that user has been created successfully. Else in the cache we are passing that condition of that. So we are checking the status code is 404 and we are returning false, so that means that user is not created successfully. So now we will create that UI part to see the registration in the UI, how it's working. So before that we will create one folder that is utils, and here we are defining three classes. One is for that form helper, which we have already created in our previous video of SQL service also, SQLITE series also, where we are already defining that forms and all, and we are just consuming that form. We have a progress form which we are using whenever we are doing any HTTP post requests. We are just showing the loader to the user. In that case, one we are using that validator service also for validating that email ID and all. So this form helper I have already created. So we are returning here that widget that is of text input, and we have some parameter here. First one is a build context, then we will have an initial value, then we will have a on change event, and then we will have a optional parameters. First one, if we want to make that text input as a text area or as a number input, or also we can use that a password also. And then we will have a on validate, then we will have a prefix icon, then we will have a suffix icon. The rest of the things are same, and here we are doing the decoration part and all, and we are using that decoration here. Then we will create one more class that is progress ust dot file. So this one is used to show the loader on the basis of that variable that is in async call, and when we will pass it as a true, the loader will be shown to the user. Then we will have a validator service here, and here we are using that extension method for the email validation and all. So here we will create the pages folder, and inside that I will create one new page that is sign up underscore page.dart file. I will make it as a stateful widget. Sign up page. And here we will initialize our API service, API service, API service. That we will add that initialize state method also. Right. Void initialize state. And here we will initialize our variables. API service is equal to new API service. Also we will use here customer model. Then here we will do model is equal to customer model. Then we will use global form key. Then we will have two variables, boolean hide password equal to true, boolean is async is API call process is equal to false. In the widget we will use the scaffold widget, return new fold. Here we will pass that app bar, we will have app bar background color. We are using colors dot red async. Then we will have the title, we are using sign up page, and the body we will use that progress HUD, and here in the child we will pass new form. Then we will have key, and here we will pass global key. The child we will create one widget, that is a form UI, and in that in async call we are passing that variable name which we have created is API call process, and opacity we are using here 0.3. The form UI we have already created. So what I am doing here is I have created one widget that is single child scroll view, and here I have used a container, and inside the container I am using column widget, and here I am passing first text box label, that is first name. Then we will have text input, the same the utility method which we have created in our form helper, and here we are passing that context. Then we are passing that model dot first name, and here in the on change event we are changing assigning that value to our model value, and in the on validate we are checking if that value is empty. Then we are passing that error message that please enter the first name. Then we will have field label last name, and then we will have doing the same thing, we are passing that model dot last name. On the on change event we are passing this dot model dot last name, and we are assigning the value to that our model value, and we are not putting last name as a mandatory, we are making it as an optional. Then we will have email ID, and here in the on change event we are passing the new value here. On the on validate I am checking here if that value is empty, I am returning the error, that is please enter email ID. And also we are checking if not empty, then if value is not valid email ID, then we are passing that error message, that is please enter the valid email ID. Here we have to import. Then we will have text input for that password, and here we are passing that model dot password, and we are assigning that model dot password is equal to value, that is on change value of that text box. And here we are checking if that password is empty, we are returning the validation message, that is please enter the password. And we are using that obscure text, and we are using here variable that is hide password, and here we are using that suffix icon, and when we toggle that icon we can also see that password also. And on press we are just changing that hide password variable true false. Then we are using that save button here, and we have to also create one method that is we have to create one more function, that is validate and save. So here we are just checking the current state and we are checking if that form is validated. Then we are saving the form and returning true, else we are returning false here. In the save button on the on press event, we have that on tap event. We are just passing our logic for saving data to the WooCommerce. And here what we are doing, we are checking here if that validate and save, then we are changing the state of that is API call process is equal to true, and then we are calling here API service dot create customer, and when we are passing here model, and then on the response we are checking here if that response is true, then we are showing the message is registration successful, else we are showing here email ID already registered. I'm showing you again that what URL we are using here. This is a URL we have to use for all our API call and all, and this is the endpoint for the customer, and we are using here customer. So now let's run the application to see how it's working. So here we have our registration form. So we can see here first name, last name, email ID, then we have password. So before doing anything in the form, let's see in that WooCommerce database, that our customer database, and then we will create customer from here and we will see the final output over there. So this is our customer database, and you can see here we have a total of eight customer, and when we will create our new customer from our app, you will see here 9 customer. So let's move to the app and let's create the customer from the app. So here we will put the name as a Snippet coder, and here in the last name we will put developer. Email ID we will put Snippet coder @gmail.com. Here if I show you here, if I don't put anything and if I click on the register here, and you can see here the validation message coming here, please enter the email ID, and in case if I put any wrong email ID, it will say me like please enter the valid email ID. Here if I put here snippet coder @g, and again if I click on the register, it will say me please enter the valid email ID. So now I will put the valid email ID, that is snippetcoder@gmail.com. Then I will have password, and in the password I will put here 1 2 3 4 5 6, and here you can see the icon. If I click on the icon, I can able to see the password here, and if I again click on it, it will be hide. So now I will click on the register button and the user will get registered to the database. So now you will see here the loader is loading and that API request has been posted to the server. So once the user is registered, we will get the message like a user has been successfully registered. So here you can see that registration is successful. Yeah. So now I will show you into database also, that WooCommerce. So here if I click F5 to refresh the page, before that we have 8 customer, now you will see that 9 customer. So this is the user which we have created from the app. This is the name, that is Snippet Coder Developer. Then we will have the username, as we are using the same email ID as a username, snippetcoder@gmail.com. and then we will have the email ID. Then we have a sign up date, that is September 21. We are registering just now. So here you can see orders also and total spend, that will be covered in our next videos. So that's all in this video, that user registration video. So in the next video we will learn about how to log in the same user with the login method and all. That video will be little bit complicated because the login process is not a simple one in that WooCommerce. So we have to do some of the tweaking and all with that WooCommerce plugin and all. Then we are able to do that login and all. So most probably within 2 or 3 days I will upload the new video of that login also. I hope you like the video. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel, like, comment, share, and It will motivate me and so that I can do more and more video. Thank you all.